Susitna River Coalition for sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to the Denali Arts Council for giving us a home here to do this. So we're talking about gold mining tonight, and we're talking about stream restoration. These are two things that usually don't go hand in hand, right? Usually it's an entirely different group of people that's doing the mining or doing the restoration, but hey, why not, you know? Sometimes it makes sense to combine things like that. You've got all the equipment there, it's all the same big machines, all the same operators there, and if the miners are into it and they are getting benefits from it, then why not? It makes sense. So this tonight is a story of how that happened. And our story actually starts in the solar system far, far away. A long time ago, when a neutron star exploded. That's where gold comes from. Right? And for all of human history, people have been fascinated and drawn to gold. And people have always gone to the ends of the earth to try to find it. And we are in one of those ends right here. There was a gold rush right here when gold was discovered back in 1905 up in the Cache Creek area. Same time it was gold was discovered up in Talkeetna on the other side of the range. And the gold rush that followed was a key part of Talkeetna's history. If you go out in Talkeetna's historic district, so many of the buildings are from the gold rush, like Tom Weatherall House and Homer Ryan, they were gold miners. The three German bachelors, they were gold miners. The Talkeetna Roadhouse was originally built as a warehouse for the goods that were being hauled by the horses that were in the log building out back. That was the Lee Brothers freight business. In 1921 alone, they hauled 887 tons of materials out to Cache Creek, and that was typically done in the winter when everything's frozen. You can pull horse-drawn sledges right over the top. And over the years, they pulled 200,000 ounces out of the Cache Creek in that district. That's enough to make a gold bar 1 foot by 1 foot by 10 feet long, worth about $660 million these days. Good deal of that gold passed over the bar of the Fairview Inn at one time or another. You know, back in those days, you were, from 1917 on, you were taking the Petersville Trail out, and that's the way people go today. So from here you cross the Susitna River to Susitna Landing, and from Trapper Creek go west on the Petersville Road. It's quite beautiful out there. This is a lot of snow machine country, a lot of people's red cabins out there, and a lot of hunting goes on out there in moose season. But not many people continue beyond these peekaboo views out at Denali and up into the high country. You get out eventually to the old town of Petersville, and this was the last outpost of civilization. Once you head from there, you go through the Peters Hills Canyon, and you're up in the high country. Petersville's here, and the road goes through the Peters Hills, and up in this area, this is where the Cache Creek murders happened. And then you follow that road on down, and around in here is as far as you're going to want to go, because it starts getting to be a really rough road, and there's big river crossings, and every year there's vehicles lost out there, and well, if you all haven't found it on your own by now, it's probably not for you. So, but I got an invite for years from a good friend out there, and eventually I had a vehicle that could make it out to his mine, and came down to this spot right here, and just fell in love with the place. This is the Dutch Hills up here. Falls Creek comes off the Dutch Hills and joins the main Cache Creek right here. And I found my little slice of paradise right there where the two meet. Here is what the country looks like. You know, this was all hydraulic and mined and turned upside down over and over, but it's all healed up pretty nice and it's gorgeous out there. The piece of property that I bought, here's the road, and the road just goes a little bit more than it ends. It's private property on both sides out there, so not many people head out that way, but yeah, this lot right here, there's along the road a recently mined area right there, and then there's the creek itself, and then the rest of the lot is on the other side of the creek, hard to get to. So, you know, this recently mined area is just tailings, but it was all we had to work with at the beginning. So Theo and Weston and I head out there, we plant our flag, and we make our camp, and there's mining camp 1.0 there. And the creek was kind of a barrier, you know, and I didn't want to start just driving through a creek because there's a few salmon left out in there. You know, but on the other side of the creek there was a huge mound of tailings from the 60s. And so I rolled up the moss, and Steve-O came in with the 330 and we flattened it out, and we got a camp. Now we need to be able to get across that bridge or that creek. So bought a bridge from the neighbor, and Theo came out, we installed it. Some of you might be horrified to see the 330 in the creek there, but it's cool. We got all the permits, and just doing it once means that we won't have to drive through the creek again because there's a bridge now. And this is what it ends up looking like. There's a road out there, and we cross, and we got the camp right there. Now we needed a place to stay, and that's where Mike Wood came in. He prefabbed a cabin here in Talkeetna with full building trusses, hauled it out there on Colby's car hauler, and me and Theo and Weston and Mike put it up in one pouring rain day. And then the next day, the neighbors came over, there's Travis, and yeah, we got a home, and now it's really a home. This has been what's made it all possible to be out there. It's pretty harsh out there, but we've got, there's Jeff's painting up there, we got Talkeetna cronies up in here, and this is, you know, the refuge from being soaked to the bone all day, come in and thaw out, and make some food. Celia got in on the act and made us our sign, and I bought from Paul Roderick Bob Young's old Airstream trailer. It's a 1967, same year as me, and yeah, this Bob was the miner in this area in the 60s and 70s for decades. So it's back home now. Yeah, it's classic decor. We had lots of visitors. I put my cameras up, and we had all kinds of visitors come by. Some strange kind of creatures too. Yeah, Joe came out, and we watched as two otters murdered a beaver, and the other beaver was going crazy, swimming around. And a couple weeks later, the otters came back and got the other beaver. Pretty wild place out there. I saw this guy out on the road one day and sat down to photograph it. It started walking right towards me, didn't see me. But it got so close, it was too late to move. So don't flinch. We gotta stand out here. Everyone, hold on, don't flinch. clean this up. All kinds of fossils. I just love treasure hunting. I was finding lots of cool relics from the history out there. And started, checking out in the Trapper Creek Museum about the early mining camps out there. 110 years ago, these guys were out there. And they were a lot tougher than us, I'll tell you. Got the metal detector out and got a big hit. This is a giant flywheel. And then found this big old belt wheel and this massive drive unit. And this was the birth of our reliquary, our little museum that's grown to include all kinds of cool stuff that Kirk keeps turning out there. All these big things here were all brought in by horses from the south, including this boiler that's across the road out in Mancash Creek itself, and the old turbine from the dredge. Here's the dredge itself. Yeah, they brought this whole thing up from off the Yentna, and they really wanted that gold. But it wasn't running, so they had it running on coal, and they had a 4-person crew working day and night, mining the coal, and the coal got worse and worse quality, and all the boiler and all the coal steam stuff is really heavy. So they eventually decided, this isn't working. They parked it at my lot for 2 seasons while they switched it over to hydroelectric, where they have trenches and pipes running from 6 miles up into the mountains and gathering so much pressure by the time that it gets down to the creek bottom that it turns a Pelton wheel like you see across the street at the museum. And that generates electricity, and the whole thing was electric at that point. And it kept going to work this creek for 10 years. And it got a lot of gold out there. At the Trapper Creek Museum, you can see one of the buckets from the bucket line dredge. After the dredge was done, the hydraulicers moved in, and they used that same pipe to make a giant water cannon and blast away at the mountainsides. Here's how it works. You got the high pressure line coming in to the hydraulic giant or monitor, and it blasts away the hillside and washes the material down through the sluice box, and the gold gets caught there. It's way heavier than anything else. I found a publication from the U.S. Department of Energy from 1945 when they were searching for uranium, and found a picture of exactly my lot and what was going on there in 1945, and saw this bank, and that bank has not changed since 1945. So that told me, well, that's virgin ground right there. But I can't get to it because the creek's there. So we'll see about that. Now, I've got homework for you all. I want you to go home and go on YouTube. You can take a picture of this on your phone, but go to the Alaska Film Archives, and they've got a group of John Baker narrated films. These are a treasure trove of Talkeetna history. Johnny Baker's local legend. And, well, who's this right here? Trisha? Verna Close, yeah. Baking bread at the Talkeetna Roadhouse. And then he's got one video called Placer Mining, 1960s. Let's hear John's voice explain to us what's going on with Bob Young gold mining out there.
And the gold going in there. Well, they run through these sluice boxes at amazing rates. Whole loads of gravel goes through here in just seconds. Anyway, this is basically a placer mine. This is Bob Young, Talkeetna, in his younger days. But we were all younger then.
Everyone say thanks, Johnny.
Thanks,
Yeah, that's cool, right? You gotta go back, watch the whole thing. And his D8's still out there, still runs too. Sure does. You know, I knew I was going to tear it all out there some. You know, I wanted to look for gold. I love treasure. I love shiny things. And I knew I was going to do a little damage, but I love nature too. And so I wanted to, you know, balance it out. I always like to, you know, keep my impact as small as I can, but, you know, we still all have impact. So I like to try to make up for it in some other way and leave the place as good as I found it. To, if you will, be carbone neutral. So I knew I wanted to fix up the creek, but I didn't know how, you know, but I told my friend Corinne about it, and she says, oh, well, that's what I do. I will design a creek project for you for nothing. And I thought, wow, think of the savings. That sounds awesome. How can I turn that down? So she put me in touch with another leader in this field of recovering, doing restoration in salmon streams in gold mining areas, a guy named Brian Baird. And he said, well, you know, working in the creek like that, it's going to be pretty hard to fix it up. You're better off just building an entirely new one, parallel to the creek, and then you can work in the dry and give it all the features that salmon will need for spawning and for young salmon for rearing. Because the way the creeks are, they've been shoved back from one side of the valley and back to the other side and all hemmed in, and there's no fine materials, there's no deep spots, there's no slow water, it's just not good habitat. So we build a new creek parallel to it and then permanently divert the creek onto that new reach that we constructed. So this is starting to sound kind of expensive. So I looked around for a way to get help with that and happened upon this a nonprofit called Salmon Gold. And they work with gold miners to take those extra steps beyond the required reclamation to do restoration so that it can actually recover on its own and be good wildlife habitat again. So there was a couple catches to this. It had to be a full gold mine operation to restoration, so I had to show the whole progression, right? So I had to make an operating gold mine. I had to become a gold miner. Okay, I guess, you know, that sounds like a challenge, but it sounded exciting to me. The other catch was that, you know, there was no way I could build that on my own. I had to get help from my neighboring miners and all their equipment to build the restoration project. This sounded somewhat more challenging to get gold miners restoring salmon habitat. As you know, there's two kinds of people in this world, and I wondered what they would think of someone who doesn't like either of you. So went out there, and it turned out it was just fine. You know, if you go anywhere and you treat people right, and you work hard, and you do things that make sense, it just works out. And we get along great, and ended up with a bunch of the miners being really close friends. They all had a blast on the project, and we had a great time together. And I'll show you about that. So, you know, the salmon out there used to be abundant, but, you know, with the flow restricted to a narrow channel, when you get flooding conditions, it just increases the force so much that it knocks all of small sediment, but oh, there's still a few king salmon and some silvers around. So I think we gotta, if we build it, they will come kind of situation. This outfit, Salmon Gold, that I'm working through, they're going to pay for a bunch of the restoration part of it. And so the first step was Corinne and a guy from the Bureau of Land Management coming out to do all the surveying and to apply what's called the Stream Quantification Tool, SQT, to basically define the current health of the stream. And then after the restoration project, they can do that again and quantify the lift, how much you actually improved it. And then that can be translated into restoration credits so that people can get paid to do this kind of restoration work. So here's Watershed Engineer Corinne Marzullo, outstanding in the field. And Matt Varner doing all of their calculations and measurements and everything. And I'm going to hand it over to Corinne now. She's going to tell you all of the cool technical stuff that went into actually designing and building this. Tell you all of the cool technical stuff that went into actually designing and building this.
All right. Thanks. But yeah, as Howard said, I am a civil engineer, and I thought it would be fun to go spend some time in Petersville. If you haven't been, it's a very interesting place. You should check it out. But so as part of these projects, this is a small scale one, but potentially bigger. But there's a sequence of events that happens. So first, you need to do the watershed restoration assessment, and then go out and do the survey, which Howard talked about. And then it comes to modeling and design. The modeling was pretty small scale on this size project. And then we went through the permitting process, the contracting, and then implementation. So that's kind of the steps to a whole overall watershed restoration project. So as Howard showed before, here's our project area. You can see the main Cache Creek coming down and Falls Creek almost to the confluence. And you've seen the slide before. So basically the habitat at Falls Creek, most mine sites are one straight riffle. They've just pushed the channel to one side of the valley or the other, and it's just a straight riffle with no habitat, no spawning areas, no pools for resting, no cover, and so it's steep and high velocities, super hard for juvenile salmon especially. So as part of the analysis, ideally you come up with a relic reference site to go out and survey and collect all the details to do your design, but unfortunately in mining systems, pretty much everywhere has just been destroyed in some way or another. So there usually is not a relic reference site to use, so you try to find a disturbed reference site, and that's still sometimes hard, but we did find a small area on Howard's site, just upstream of the project area, that actually had a pool, and had a little sinuosity, and so that was about as good as we could get. So between working with Matt Varner from the BLM and coming up with other design features from other similar streams in the area, and then what we could find on site, we basically came up with a design criteria to figure out our channel. So as part of the design criteria too, you gotta target your fish species. So here we were mainly targeting king salmon and silvers. And so each fish species has their velocities they like, depth of water, spawning size gravel, all the things that come with it. So you try to incorporate those features into the design to hopefully increase spawning. So here's a look at the project site. You can kind of see Cache Creek on the right there, Falls Creek's coming down on the left. So basically our goals are to restore the historic floodplain, the stream channels and the riparian areas throughout the project. So we were going to decrease the channel slope, increase sinuosity. By decreasing the channel slope, obviously we're increasing the channel length, and then also this is like most of these systems are entrenched. There is no floodplain, so increasing the flood-prone, like bankful and flood-prone areas from 2 to 1 to greater than 3 to 1, which also reduces velocity and takes a lot of the pressure off the system in multiple ways. So we are also increasing the number of pools within the project reach. There were none, it was one straight riffle. There were no side channels, we created some side channels. There was no in-stream wood for cover and bank stabilization. And there were no spawning glides, which is where officially they spawn. Also, the floodplain was just basically tailings piles. So we also brought in topsoil and did some plantings. Ed was a huge willow. Ed learned a lot about planting willows and learned how to replant them. So, okay, well that slide didn't come through right. But basically here is, it shows you, channel sinuosity with the low flow, bankful, and flood prone channels, and pretty much, the design features you're looking for to develop your channel. Here's just a bunch of technical data for your channel morphology that describes your bankfolds and your substrate size and all that technical stuff that we don't need to get into. Again, here's the project site. You can see Howard chunk there on Falls Creek. And so the light blue line is the existing channel, and the darker blue line is the proposed channel. You can see the logjam locations. And so basically we're looking to create two meanders. So we would dewater the one, water the first meander, and then construct the second one and then water that. Here's our typical cross sections for a pool and a riffle. Again, there's the glide cross sections too. That's on the next slide. But again, you have your low flow, bankful, and flood prone areas that we're designing to. So when we're out there constructing, we're kind of trying to hit these depths and widths. Again, here's kind of more of a long profile of just typical cross situations for, well, there's cross sections and channel profiles for different features for rocks and spawning glides. And here's our logjam cross sections of just how different logjam features are incorporated for both habitat and bank stabilization. So as also part of the design, you have to do stability checks for shear stress and scour. That's a lot of what the large wood is for, but also make sure you size your rock accordingly. The cool thing about these mining sites is that all the rock is there. That's the existing rock. It's just a matter of finding the right place it needs to be. And well, the water also always wins, so it will find its place if you don't put it in its place to begin with. So as Howard said, we weren't just working in the stream, just to play in the stream. We did get our permits. It's actually a little easier on private land than it is working on federal land, but we did get permits for both the bridge installation and the channel restoration project. Channel, I guess it's just one end, it's particular. This slide's, I have this slide, and I'm going to talk again on another project. This slide comes through better on that one, but anyways, this is the general implementation strategy of basically you construct out, actually, I'm just going to get into this in my next talk because it's way cooler when you can actually see it happening, so I'm just going to skip over that. And I think...
All right, so Corinne's figuring out all the design, and I had to then stockpile all the material, which is rocks, topsoil, vegetated mat, and lots of trees. So I went out there, and the neighbors gave me all of their piles of trees and pulled them all over there, and ended up with about 80 trees in a bunch of different piles that would be used the next spring to construct the project. And then came all of the big machines. We had a big old excavator with a 330 and then a mini excavator. We had 1,000 yards of topsoil brought in with rock trucks, and the loader, and the the D9 is a big old beast. So we're gonna check out a little time lapse of just what's going on. We're roughing out the new channel here and building log jams along the way, and figuring out what features go where. So Corinne was the engineer on site and had all the specs for all these log jams, and that protects the bank from getting washed away. It also can scour out deeper holes for spawning and resting spots. Here we're going to watch Ed's little time lapse of this was the exciting moment when we actually diverted the water to the new beach. Were any of you there for the last day of the playground build? Yeah, it's like that. It was super exciting. So here it goes. So clogging up the old channel and dewatering it, diverting water into the new engineered stream. Here it goes. A bunch of the neighbors came and watched. A few folks from Talkeetna came out and filmed it. It was very, very exciting. And it was surprising how fast it filled up. It was maybe a minute and a half that the water was all the way to the end. And we got a new piece of Falls Creek. And there's what it looked like after all the fine tuning. This is the original channel right here went this way, and so from below the bridge it does a big sinuous bend out, and a big sinuous bend, and then on the outside turns of all bends, there's a big old log jam there, and then there was the fine tuning of everything, getting the banks all pretty and everything. And then Ed was the re-veg tech, and he did a ton of work in planting all along the both banks, planting trees and everything. And that was a huge effort. Ed did a fantastic job. And then moving all the rocks by hand into the creek, and this is Sean McManus. Some of you remember him from the 90s. He was around here. He came up to Alaska to help out for the summer. Was invaluable in helping. Super handy guy. This is one of the riffles that we made. It's called the Giggle Garden. And there's this big, deep pool for spawning. So excited for the fish to find this. And we thought, hey, we're kind of done. You know, it's turned out great. It's beautiful. The one problem was this summer it had not rained the entire spring and the whole summer up to this date, July 15th, which was the last day we could work in the creek. So we would have to water some things. But aside from that, barring some crazy unforeseen event like a 100-year flood while the gravel's all still fluffy and before roots can hold it together, hey, it's done. But then it started raining on the 16th, and it rained, and it rained. Here's the next door neighbors. I called them to go out and check it out. We're really worried, but we couldn't get out there because you couldn't do any of the creek crossings on the road. Vehicles were being washed away, rescues and everything. And, so finally, we got out there. You can see it's September, into September, and the wall had broken through the water, was taking a shortcut through the neighbor's lot, across the road, and straight towards Cache Creek, which was a total disaster. And this was a moment of panic and terror, and Ed and I gathered all these materials by hand, logs, rocks, mud, everything, and we saved. We were within an hour of it getting away and not being recoverable, but we saved it, and it finally stopped raining in October, and the whole thing was devastated. The giggle garden was gone, the deep pool filled in, just all of the features that we worked so hard to create were gone. So got another permit. Salmon Gold stepped it up again with some more help, and we went to work the next summer in recreating things. And so, you know, this was what it looked like before the flood, and here's after the flood. Totally changed the entire thing. But we went back to work, and we did a lot more plantings, put in a lot more rock. Here's the engineer directing, Steve-O placing a boulder there. And I gotta tell you one thing. The gold miners all love Corinne. And it's not what you think. There's one took me aside and said, I've worked with 100 engineers in my life, and it's always a huge pain in the neck because they don't understand the practicalities of dirt work. But Corinne is cool and great to work with, and she understands the full process and what the limitations are on our end. So he said, Corinne's the best engineer I've ever worked with. So that really that was one of the things that made the project a success. Then we started planting dormant willow stakes and hammering them into the ground, and then a couple weeks later they're all full of vegetation. You know, through that storm we learned a lot. And then the next year, we had another 100-year flood, and the whole thing happened over again. We had to retool and refigure everything and fix up all the banks again. And through all those floods, I think it actually improved it. For one thing, you know, we didn't realize how much water can come down that creek. It's a lot flashier than you would think. We have no data. We're just going on what we thought. And the same's true for the Talkeetna. We don't even have a gauging station on the Talkeetna River, which is the bulk of the water that's shooting straight towards Talkeetna. The Susitna River Coalition is working on that. So we got to know more about these creeks. But yeah, we, you know, the creek kind of stretched everything out and made more room for itself, and made it a lot more natural, and made a greater variety of habitat. And lo and behold, one day, look who's in the creek. How about it, huh? So very, very exciting to see a couple of king salmon out there. Now, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to see the gold mine part of it. And then Corinne is going to share with you some more about the restoration work that she's done around the state and down in Resurrection Creek, and what goes on with restoration in general. So take 5, come see Hurricane Mary, get a drink, have some food, and in 5 minutes we'll sit back and we'll go gold mining. All right? All right, so you know, moving the creek did a couple things. We were able to build all new creek and then move the water over onto it. And with the old creek no longer up against that bank, we're able to access it. Plus, we're able to mine the old creek bed and see if there's any gold in there too. So Steve-O is our miner. He comes over and we dig into that bank and oh, that looks good. This hasn't moved in millions of years. That's virgin ground. That's what we want to see. Some nice iron stuff, and yeah, they say gold rides an iron horse, so they're often found together. And then go over and pan it out in the creek and see what's in there. And well, how about it? There's some gold in there. Did a whole bunch of panning that first summer, and I think this was the result of moving 105-gallon buckets of material. Is about a gram of gold. Yeah, it's amazing how much material you have to move. So to get an ounce of gold, it's maybe 100 yards of material on average that you got to move and sort through to find that. So pretty soon you start to realize it's a volume game. We got to move a lot of material, not just pans of it. We need a bigger pan and a bigger shovel. So that next winter, from a few broken things, a broken seed spreader and a broken refrigerator and a broken 5-gallon bucket, I built our first wash plant, and you gotta name them. This is the sluice grouse. Sadly, it didn't see any action. I upgraded before the winter was even over. And I designed and Ross Benechek constructed our next wash plant. And this is really for testing. It's not for production. This is the prospecting, not really the mining, right? So this is sploosh, and it is still a huge amount of work, but it's good for you. Who needs a gym? Just be a gold miner. So let's see it in action. You dump your material in there, and fire a violent blast of water in that crash box liberates all the material, and it becomes suspended in water, and then it flows out across the sluice box, and the gold settles in the sluice, and everything else washes out. That next season of just hand mining like that, we ended up with a few grams. Still not a lot, but yeah, it's pretty exciting. I'm just starting to see some real stuff. But
Howard, what was it on? Yeah, what was that blade?
that's a silver dollar.
Silver dollar. Not a dime.
But this is the kind of gold that's out there. It's generally just little flakes and fine gold. There's not a lot of nuggets or big pieces of gold. So we need a bigger shovel and a bigger gold pan now. So we decided to strip this one spot here, and all of the topsoil got stockpiled to go to the restoration project, and all of the vegetated mat is in another pile, and all the big rocks in another pile. You end up with this stripped cut, and Curry lounging on it, and we're ready to run that material. So this is all hay material. All these rocks are great for armoring this outer bank here, and just by hand, last fall I was placing these all and further armoring this outer bank. You can see some of our dormant willow stakes. So here's the bigger pan. My neighbor miner built this at home in Kentucky in his shop and hauled it up here with an ambulance. And we took it out there, set it up, and yeah, it's time to rock and roll. It's the howitzer. Of course, what else in that box? Yeah. Yeah, this is how, every day out there is problem solving, dawn to dusk. There's always problems, and we had many, many, many problems to figure out with the pump system. But we're pumping water out of one end of a tailings pond, the clean end, and the wash plant dumps water into the other end of it. So it's just a continuous loop, and we're not connected to the creek at all. So we're not harming the creek in any way. Where is it in action? Dumping some material in there, and this is the simplest of a wash plant as you can get, no moving parts. You have your spray bars blasting the material with high pressure and liberating all that, washing all the gold off the rocks. And then at the bottom end, it goes over the grizzly. The rocks keep going, and the smaller material and all the water, and then hopefully most of the gold goes down into the lower section and the gold settles into the sluice. So we worked hard on this thing day and night, and kept going on that cut. It's a ton of hard work, and yeah, you're gonna get wet, but so satisfying. 1,000 things have to go right in order for you to actually be running. And if one thing goes wrong, and it's a trip to Anchorage, or it's a 3-week wait for a part, or something, and the season's so short, so when it's actually working, it's a glorious thing. After we run a few hundred yards through there, it's time to do a cleanup. You take the expanded metal off of the miner's moss, and look right there, there's a little picker. That's a piece that's big enough to pick up with your fingers, makes a sound when you drop it into the gold pan. And usually you don't see much gold down in there. It's all worked its way down into the mat. But once in a while, there's a nugget. There's a 2.5 gram nugget that is the only nugget we found. Yeah, but you do your cleanup and you start seeing gold, and it's pretty exciting. Especially if you know how to take good fish pictures. So then you end up with 2 5-gallon buckets full of concentrates from your cleanup, and you take those and spoon them into this multi-sluice here, just a mini version of the wash plant, and it gets you down into about a cup of material there. And then, you start to see your gold, except, a lot of the gold is really, really fine, like 1/300th of an inch. And so I constructed this other fine gold separating device. It's called a Miller table. Designed this and built this, and what it does is it helps you separate the very finest gold from the heavy black sands. So the heavy black sands float away with the laminar flow, and you're able to, the gold sticks right there. Pretty cool, right? So at the end, after a huge amount of work and planning and suffering, you end up with a tiny little jar of gold in your hand. Now, if any of you are thinking, well, this looks great, I think I'll go be a gold miner and restore salmon streams too. Don't even try it. That's not going to work. The only reason that this worked for us is just the huge amount of help we had from all the people along the way. And for me, the number one person I have to thank is, of course, Noelle, for holding down the fort all the times I was gone, and for all the love and support along the way. And then all the miners who helped with the project and it made our gold mine work and made the restoration project work. So it's really cool working together. And I also have to thank, this is Dave Turner from Salmon Gold, who made constructing the project possible. And our project is now a model for Salmon Gold. Our neighbor just bought the 4 lots adjacent to me, and he's planning on doing a over a mile long restoration project on Main Cache Creek through Salmon Gold. And that Salmon Gold works around the world through a broader NGO called Regeneration. They're remining old mining sites and restoring them along the way. So, this is happening globally. So Dave was just talking this week to some scientists in South Africa using our project as an example. And of course, the volunteers, and especially to Ed O'Connor and Sean McManus, who were put an incredible amount of time and work into it, and to Joe for flying us out there, and to everyone else who helped, and all the friends who came out and pitched in out there. We really couldn't have done it without you. Literally thousands of volunteer hours went into this thing. Jimmy grew up out there. Doug made us a new sign. Everything. Yeah, just it was a real team effort of everyone pitching in to do this. Now, even if you're not going to go make your own gold mine and salmon restoration project, there is something that you can do, and that's supporting Susitna River Coalition. I support Susitna River Coalition, and I'll tell you exactly why. Are you ready?
You got us.
If you treat people right, you work hard, and you do things that make sense, in the end, you can leave a place better than you found it. And that's what Susitna River Coalition is doing. Thank you all so much. Margaret is going to come up and talk to you for a minute while we switch over laptops, and then Corinne's going to take over, and we'll do questions. Tell you all of the designing those.
But a big time to go spend some time in Petersville and work on it. So it's part of these projects in the watershed. This is a small scale one, but Peninsula to Resurrection Creek and there's a sequence of events to tell you. So there's the watershed restoration assessment, slides I put in, and then go out to the survey of our project. And then comes the modeling and design, modeling and and then went to the permitting process,
Sponsoring the event tonight.
So anyways, so this is broken into 2 roles. Phase 1, so, this is how we're about to show you the 4 years of project. There you can see phase 1 was done in 2005, slides and forms, basically, the habitat, fall farm, and then mine sites are phase 2 is for output mining plans, so we put mining company together, straight riffles, no habitat, no spawn players, no collaborative cover them, and so that happened, and velocities, and then Hartford, yeah,
sponsoring the
there's a
event
long,
tonight,
there's a long
and
journey.
thank you to
And then phase two, it's actually.
So
for part of the analysis, ideally you come up with a relative process to go out and take down details of your design, but unfortunately, the mining system is pretty much everywhere. Phase one was upstream of that, and phase two is one way or another. So there usually is not a relative reference site to use, so we try to find a disturbed reference site. And that's kind of happening hard, but someone trying to small design and housing study, which is like activities going on, has a little sinuosity, and so that was about as good as we could get. So between and just working with that partner from the BLM and coming up with other design miners are using more streams in the area, and then other designers. So they were really great to do so much of the design for
many thanks to.
but basically, you know, they're just mining the whole river valley. Part of the design too, you gotta target your fisheries. So here we were leaving it like that. King salmon and summers. And so each species has their velocities they like, depth of water, spawning size gravel, all the things that they shut down there and use into design. There's a lot of recreational miners down there. This is spawning, Cache Creek, Petersville area, varying degrees. So here's the project site. Cache Creek on the right there, it's coming down to the left. So, and again, you know, here's kind of restore the historic floodplain, the mining operations are pushing the channel to one side of the valley and the project back over to. So we were going to decrease the channel slope. So honestly, we're actually missing down by decreasing the area of the and a little background. So also, this is like most of these systems are entrenched. There isn't a floodplain, so this is flood prone, not thankful, and flood prone areas from 2 to 1 and 3 to 1, which also reduces velocity of the system. Is surveyed it. So we are also increasing the number of pools within the project reach. Side channels, we over a mile of side channels. There was no wood for cover and things that we had. And there were floodplain and also habitat too. Also, the floodplain, and at this time, the discussion started happening with the mining company that had topsoil and its planting that was 20 years ago. So I think about 20 years, pretty close to that, and really learned how to use replanting. So,
sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to
disturbed reference that there actually was a relic. But basically, here is a, you know, it shows you, you know, channel velocity, what you were thankful, what channel, and then it's pretty much, you know, so here you can see a little more,
sponsoring the event tonight, and
the
thank you
existing
to
project here is just a bunch of, that shows the data for channel velocity, on all the sucrose, thankfuls, and the floodplain size. So again, there's tailings piles, and we saw this, how it's having on one. Again, here's the project site, well, how it's, trying to down Falls Creek. This was there 100+ years. And so the light blue line is the existing, nothing's really channel, and the dark blue line is only locations. So basically, we're looking to create 2 new habitats, dewater the water, east side, and dewater straight construct second monitoring, dewater water. No place for salmon to hang out. Here's our cross sections. Again, there's the relative wide cross-sections too.
sponsoring the event tonight.
Again, you have your low flow, bank flow, and flow debris. We also call LWDs designing too. So when we're out there constructing, we're kind of trying. So this was actually here's kind of more of a long profile of just typical cross situations for fish cross sections and terminal finals or different features for rocks and reference reach. And here's our logs on cross sections of just how different log features are different for both habitat and so it's also part of the design stability checks for shear stress and scour. That's a lot of what we're going to discuss, but also size of the rock accordingly. The cool thing about these mining sites is that all the rock is there. That's the existing rock. It's just a matter of finding the right place it needs to be. Well, the water also always there, so it will find its place. So as Howard said, we weren't just working in the stream, to play in the stream, we did get our permits. It's actually a little easier on private land than it is working, on federal land, but we did get permits for building road installation and, channels. And then, here's the proposed alignment channel. Basically, the idea is you put in you rough out, called the channel rough out, you rough out the, I have this slide, and I'm going to talk to them on another project. This slide is, on the inside, it comes through better on that one, but, anyways, this is the general strategy, the water, we lot material like you saw. Actually, I'm just going to go into the next talk, into the main channel.
Sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to
And
tell you all of the
water today is really fun,
designing.
It's been working with for South Central, it's fantastic. But yeah, it's not water, so yeah, it would be fun to go spend some time in Petersville. But so as part of these projects, water, this is a small water, but I want to.
Sponsoring the event tonight, and
There's a sequence of events that happen. So first you need to go watershed restoration and then and then come to modeling, design, modeling. So here's our one size project, and then we went through the permitting process.
Sponsoring the event tonight,
We
and
wanted
thank
it,
you
so
to
it's kind of step into a whole overall watershed restoration project. So, as Howard showed before, here's our project. This is all on July 2000 and the 2000 slide before. So basically, it has Fall Street. Most mine sites are one straight on the center. It just pushed the channel to one side of the valley, so that there's a straight ripple. We don't have that. It goes along the cover, and so it's steep. It's flooding, high velocity, super hard for
sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to.
But anyways, this is a year later, so as part of the analysis, with these projects, ideally you come up with a relic reference site to go out and survey, left all the details to the design. But unfortunately, in mining systems, we also want to protect everywhere destroyed some way or another. So there usually is not a relic reference site to use, so we try to find a disturbed reference site, and that's still sometimes hard, but I did find a small area on Howard site, just upstream of the project area, that's actually had one area, and had a little sinuosity, and so that was about as good as we could get. So this is working with Matt Warner from the BLM and coming up with other design features from other similar streams in the area, and then basically come up with design criteria to figure out our channel. So as part of the design criteria too, you gotta target your fish species. So here we were mainly targeting king salmon and silvers. And so each species has their velocities they like, depth of water, spawning size gravel, all the things that come with it. So you try to incorporate those features into the design. So all 5 species come in right, even more fun for kings. So here's a look at the project site. You can kind of see Cash Creek on the right there, Fall Creek is coming down on the left. So basically our goals are to restore the historic floodplain, the stream channels and the riparian areas throughout the project. So we were going to decrease the channel slope, decrease the velocity, on the bottom, increasing the channel length, and then also this is like most of these systems are entrenched. There is no floodplain, so increasing the flood prone, like bankflow and flood prone areas from 2 to 1 to greater than 3 to 1, which also reduces velocity. A lot of pressure off the system. Users also. So we are also increasing the number of pools and the intertide ratio. We're none by one straight ripple. The side channels, we created some side channels. There was no extreme wood for cover and wind circulation, and they were in the bottom side, which is where which is fun. Also, the floodplain is so we also brought in topsoil and some plantings at the willows and learn how to replant them. So
sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to
But there's a lot of partner involved in the sliding code, right? But basically, here is it shows you your stands and walkthroughs, both the bank flow channels and pretty much the design features you're looking for.
Sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to
Here's just a bunch of central data for your geomorphology. Describes the bankfold and the substrate size and all that. And so there's a restoration corridor. Again, here's the project site, also Howard's, they're on Falls Creek, so they're also, and so the light blue line is the existing, channel, and the dark blue line is the proposed channel with the Belgium locations. So basically, we're looking to create two meanders, dewater one, water the first meander, and then the water. So there's a lot of construct the second one, and then dewater water that. Here's our cross sections for the again, there's the wide cross sections too.
Sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to
again, you have your low flow, bank flow, and flood prone areas that we're designing to. So when we're out there constructing, we're kind of trying to get these So again, here's kind of more of a long profile of just typical cross situations for there's cross sections and channel profiles for different features for rocks and bottom slides. And here's our log jam cross sections of just how different log jam features are incorporated for both habitat and so the work has also part of the design and stability checks for shear stress and scour. That's a lot of work that I was for, but also size of the rock accordingly. The cool thing about these mining sites is that all the rock is there. It's existing rock. It's just a matter of finding the right place it needs to be. And, well, the water also all lines, so it will find its place. So as Howard said, we weren't just working in stream, play in the stream. We did get our permits. It's actually a little easier on private land than it is working on federal land, but we did get permits for both bridge installation and
thanks to Susitna River Coalition.
We're also
Sponsoring the event tonight.
I have this slide, and I'm going to talk again on this other project. This slide, ripple substrate plus we're screening two different spots. Comes through better on that one, but anyways, this is the general implementation strategy of basically construct out and actually, I'm just going to get into this topic.
Sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to
and
tell you all of the technical stuff. Designing build.
But yeah, as Howard said, I am a civil engineer, and I thought it would be fun to go spend some time in Petersburg. Check it out. But, so as part of these projects, this is a small scale one, but
Sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to
there's a sequence of events that happens. So first we need to do the Watershed Restoration Assessment, and then and then comes modeling design, modeling measures, also on this size project. And then we went through the permitting process,
Sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to
implementation. So it's going to step to our whole overall watershed restoration project. So as Howard showed you before, here's a project area. We put boulder size and for the slide before, so basically the habitat Falls Creek, those mine sites are going to straight riffle and just pushed the channel to one side of the valley or the other. And it's just straight riffle like that. And we're walking over and the rest of the cover, and so it's steep and high velocities, super hard for
sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to the Denali Arts.
So as part of the analysis, ideally, you can have a relative site to go out and survey and collect all the details to do your design. But unfortunately, in mining systems,
Sponsoring the
pretty much
event
everywhere
tonight,
is
and thank you to
destroyed some way or another. So there usually is not a relevant reference site to use, so you try to find a disturbed reference site, and that's still sometimes found it. We did find a small area on our site, a lot of actual had a pool, and had a little sinuosity, and so that was about as good as we could get. So between working with Matt Barner from the BLM and coming up with other designs which I heard other than the streams in the area, and then what we found on site, and basically come up with the design criteria to figure out a channel. So part of the design criteria too, you gotta target your fish species. So here we were mainly targeting king salmon and silvers, and so each fish species has their velocities they like, depth of water, spawning size, gravel, all the things that come with it. So you try to incorporate those into the design. I don't actually know. Increase spawning more information than most times. So here's a project site. Cash Creek on the right there, down the bottom. So basically, our goals are to restore the historic floodplain, the stream channels, and riparian areas throughout the project. So we were going to increase the channel flow, by decreasing the channel flow, by increasing the channel length, and then working with also this is like most of these systems are entrenched, there isn't a floodplain, so increasing the flood prone, the thankful and flood prone areas from 2 to 1 or greater than 3 to 1, which also reduces velocity. A lot of pressure off the system. So we are also increasing the number of pools within our project. There were none. It was one straight riffle. Side channels. We created some side channels. There was no cover and there were lots of the floodplain was just basically tailings piles. So we also brought in topsoil and some plantings that was a huge cost. And I brought planting willows. So and learned how to replant them.
Sponsoring the event tonight, and thank you to
that's that. But
the Denali Arts.
it was a high priority that fire project. Right. So basically, here is it shows you channels and rosters of all the thankful channels and pretty much the design features we're looking
Sponsoring the
forward
event
to.
tonight, and thank you to
Here's just a bunch of recent vegetables, data for geomorphology, and they all have strategy. Thankful and subject size, restored phase 1 versus again, here's the private site and our so the light blue line is the existing channel, and the dark blue line is the proposed channel. You can see the longtime location. And so basically, we're looking to create 2 meanders. So the water, the one water, the first meander, and then water. The pit constructs the second John, and then you want to water that. Here's our typical cross sections for again, there's the live cross sections too in the next slide. But again, you have your low flow, bankful, and flood prone areas that we're designing to. So when we're out there constructing, we're kind of trying to get these stuff that we kind of get. Again, here's kind of more of a long profile, just typical cross situations for there's cross sections and channel profiles, different features for rocks and spawning lights. And here's our logjam cross section of this house. Different logjam features are incorporated for both habitat and so as also part of the design, you have to do stability checks for shear stress and scour. That's a lot of what the water goes for, but also size your rock accordingly. The cool thing about these mining sites is that all the rock is there. That's the existing rock. It's just a matter of finding the right place it needs to be. And well, the water also always runs, so it will find its place. So as Howard said, we weren't just working with the stream, playing the stream. We did get our permits. It's actually a little easier on private land than it is working on federal land. But also, I did get permits for both bridge installation and channel.